Welcome back to Project Ozone 3 Kappa mode, and thanks very much to a couple of commenters in the last episode. Particular Buganoia is one of them that said there's a much cheaper way of getting crushed endstone, so I just want to show you that. And it's very budget indeed. As long as you've got this, the whole extra utilities 2 stuff running, then you can make them fairly straightforwardly, which is to get two mechanical users facing each other, with one of them placing blocks with right click with some speed upgrades, and the other one breaking blocks with left click on an unbreakable sledge. It's not unbreakable yet, it's working on it, it's working its way up. We've got reinforced 3 on there already, so that'll be getting better. Unfortunately, these only take 4 upgrades, which is annoying. I want this to go faster. If you know if you can make it faster, let me know in the comments below, but I would assume you're just going to basically make more of them. These mechanical users are not terribly expensive, so you could just do them in parallel and break, 16 blocks at once, something like that. You can see it's just a dropper and resonating redstone crystal, of course, that needs you to get various little bits and pieces, but nothing excessive there. You've got this running. And it produces crushed endstone, or indeed crushed netherrack, which will be picked up by this advanced item collector. So that machine can be disassembled now, which is good. I like saving space. And we can probably put 2 of these alongside each other, one for endstone, one for netherrack, and turn them on or off. So that's that good. I then built the Auto-sieve. Yes, this is the Auto-sieve, the bigger machine, 5x5x4, and it has these upgraded redstone spectacles. I went for basically the larger blocks here. It's got ludicrous item output, ludicrous item input on both sides, and a big energy input, which takes up to like 4 or 8k, if I remember rightly. So it's got plenty of power. And you'll see here I've got a material storework factory. The good thing about the material storework factories is you can get them to generate just compressed by themselves. You don't have to compress them or put them through a compactor or whatever else they're actually called. You basically go in here and you can change the last one to 3x3 craft, which basically produces a compressed output, so compressed dust. And compressed dust, you may not be able to see it, it might be quite fast. Yeah, compressed dust, if I just go and look at the recipe, if we have a look at that and then look at the Auto-sieve, it generates us this Basil's powder, Blitz powder, and Blizz powder that we've been looking for to basically make the rods, and that enables us. And I've got on the other side, I've got compressed sand. Yeah, compressed sand going in there as well. So what this doesn't do at the moment is it doesn't generate metals, but I've already got huge amounts of metals. It's mainly redstone and glowstone that I want. So having sand and dust available there, just going in compressed, is quite nice. So where was I? Yes, so 1, dislocators, and 2, how we make dislocators. So if we look at the rods, you'll see I've got in here already some of Basil's rods, Blitz, etc. So if I look at Basil's, you'll see I've got 500 of the stuff. So if I want more, I can just grab some of that and go down here and just dump it into the compactor. There we go. And if I just take, I need to take this out. Will it actually process for that? I don't think it will. Let's take that out. Yep. And it'll process into the rod form and dump it back into this box. There we go. Another Basil's rod. That in turn means I can make dislocators. Yes, these things we use dislocator pedestals for. I went through and made one. Literally everything else is just stuff you already have. You will have this stuff, I promise. So dislocators. So here we go. Eye of Ender, Draconian dust, Lunar dust, Ender dust, and then a few rods. And that bottom one is sugar infused core, which is just some sugar which you have, carbon rock candy which you have, and diamonds. So that's all good, which means I can create dislocators at will. That's good because that replaces all of this portal nonsense, wrong direction, all of this portal nonsense with dislocators. Now, I'm going to show you the void one. This one is trivial anyway because you can just right click that block to go where you want to go. However, just as an example, this pair will take, well, this half of the pair will take me to the void world. And then on the pedestal on the other side, it will basically let me come back. And instead of coming back to where the void portal is, it will come back to whatever point you've stored. In this case, right in the middle of my base. So to use them, they're very straightforward. You put them in your inventory, decide where you want to stand when you're coming back, shift right click, and you've bound one of them. Now you can use this, and this is sort of a replacement for the overworld apples. You don't need those anymore. However, if you do use it, it'll start using up it. You see 20 uses remaining. It'll drop to 19, 18, etc. So it's always useful to have at least one in your backpack, and then you can get rid of the overall apples as long as this doesn't run out. On the other side, though, you also want to bind to wherever you want to go. So if I wanted to go into the Nether, go to a fortress, I could bind that as my entry point, and then I could get the pairs. At that point, you just need to put down a dislocator pedestal where you're coming from, like here, and one where you're going, coming back the other way, and that will stop them actually using up any of those 20 uses as long as it's on the dislocator pedestal. So all very good. Teleports abound all over the place, and we should no longer need things like this end cape, which I need to refill a little bit. And indeed, even that can go away. We'll have dislocator pedestals forever. Right, so with that done, that gets us further on and a lot easier to, sort of portal around. One other thing is that you will probably want to get this advanced dislocator made at some point. It is a sort of upgraded version whereby it stores multiple locations, so you can teleport around all over the place. Not just yet, but that's that. And also, the dislocator receptacle is a way to generate a portal to wherever you've bound that to, so you can drop things through it. Like, for example, withers. You can basically have a wither generation chamber which just starts madly generating them above this portal. They start to drop down as they're actually starting to build up to their initial explosion, and then it immediately teleports them across to another chamber which is purposely built that only kills withers, and you don't need any of the construction mechanics in there. It sort of makes things a little bit safer when you're maintaining stuff. Not something you need right now, but yeah, it's useful to have. Another commenter also said that you can, first of all, well, one, you can wear your advanced wireless crafting terminal as a bauble, which is great. Also, use Shift E if you want to actually use it, even when it's a bauble. So you can you don't even need it in your inventory anymore. But if I look for something we can craft, let's just go for vibrant alloy, shall we? So vibrant. Unlike this terminal here, if I do vibrant here as well, that crashed. 1 second. As I was saying before the crash, you basically can't middle click this, or actually I can't, nor alt click. However, if I just use the other terminal, Shift E, I can go to vibrant, hopefully no crash. And now if I click hold alt, you'll see it changes to craft, and you can just left click that. Very handy. And that means I probably don't even want to use that anymore at all. So good news. All right, so we've got that Auto-sieve working. That means I'm going to take this out, I think. And I think I'm going to probably create an array of these things, to be honest. It's probably worthwhile doing, and not putting them up here, but maybe downstairs, sort of aligned with this. Now, we could just put lots of export buses from the system, but the export buses are terribly expensive by comparison to what we do. So basically, we could just create a channel on an ender chest, export into the ender chest, and then pull from that ender chest into all of the other mechanical users or something like that. The only downside is a little bit of extra sort of setup in that you have to sort of create yourself this unbreakable sledge for each time, unfortunately. So if you only need a little bit, then you can just get away with it. But yeah, we'll see as far as how determined I want to make lots and lots of sledges. There is basically another one, and then we should be able to repair that. So it's pretty, yeah, it's pretty good already. But we can swap the mining level. I don't think that actually makes much of a deal, but we can do it. And just put this back in our mechanical user, and import if we want to up here. I'll leave that alone. And away we go. So that's just a quick update section. Now on to what we want to do this episode. We want to take the Draconian that we've been generating in the background, and we want to basically, well, I'm using that again, and I shouldn't use that. Draconian, we're now up to 668 of it. So we're going to want to take that and start automatically processing the Draconium, or at least some of it, but for this initial set, all of it, into the first degree steel. So first degree. And that is just made up by, as I said last episode, by blazing pyrotheum. We do actually need a few things here. So we need sulfur, blaze powder, and redstone. And if we have a look at what compressed dust gives us, so from that whole process, Auto-sieve, we get, well, that and this. So that's 3 of the actual ingredients. We also get some of these other powders. that leaves us with sulfur. And we got plenty at the moment, but if I just convert it all, it's probably going to get used. So I'll have to figure out another way of generating sulfur in a little while. But for start off, let's just set it up and see where we go. So the quick setup version before we get into, well, more expansive stuff is to just get yourself Fluidic Transposer, Magma Crucible, and I've got 3 augment upgrades, 3 upgrade kits, and we've got the auxiliary reception coils, which increase processing speed of all machines. So here you'll see it's now filling it with blazing pyrotheum. The system knows how to make it and will export any that we have in the system out here. I haven't hooked it up to make an awful lot of it yet, but we can do. And then in here, we just need to basically specify Draconian, and that should work. We can then craft some acceleration cards if we want that to export faster. They're cheap, really, really cheap, so it's usually worthwhile just having them on everything. There we go, and just acceleration cards, please. Yep, there we go, we've got 9 of them. So let's just dump them on that so that everything is nice and fast. Okay, and this thing is going to probably start, there we go. Full stack, and has already exported it, it looks like, into the system, because this has already basically processed everything. Yep, it's all gone, which means our system should have first, yeah, there we go. So neutral steel of the 1st degree, we've got 8 of them. Not particularly many. That has come from a stack of blazing pyrotheum, so you can imagine we need a lot of blazing pyrotheum to actually carry on. So I just need to basically add a recipe to the system for it. So pyrotheum, so it knows how to make it. It is a crafting recipe, crafting mode, and we want the right kind of sulfur that we have in the system. Just make sure. In fact, this has got a lot of substitutions on anyway. So yeah, we've got 2,000 of it. We're probably going to need more than that, but hey, for the moment, that's done. I'm starting to create a larger craft wall on that kind of thing. We can get them through here as well, the interface terminal. So molecular assembler, molecular. You can see you can rearrange these and make sure they all have space and all kinds of stuff like that. So good stuff. And we've got pyrotheum. So we can just tell the system to make an awful lot of it. Pyrotheum, and the CPU should take care of it. So let's ask for 400. Can we do that? Plenty. Yeah, we can do that. How about 1,000? That's 3.5, so how about 2,000? Still fine, it's 7,000 bytes, so I'll get it to start that. That's going to start processing it, and then that will be starting to be consumed by Draconium, and we can just leave it in the background. It's going to produce enough of the 1st degree for us to basically take that further, and then, hopefully, use this to craft this next step, which is basically Prudentium, and whatever we can use Prudentium for, which is a few things, for recipes, and we're probably going to get to crafting seeds pretty soon. And wouldn't you know it, almost like it's a coincidence of some kind, you can take your Prudentium and you can craft a tier 2 crafting seed, and then you can create sulfur seeds, which you can then breed up into 10-10-10 versions. Similarly, silicon, if you want to do the silicon, there are grains of infinity seeds at this tier. Mystical flower seeds, so very useful, and no doubt for basically letting you get whatever kind of mystical flowers you like from Britannia. Marble seeds, and limestone, basalt, or basalt, depending on where you are. That's no problem. I think they're also intermedium, fair enough. But I think the ones I'm going to want, and then various metals. Yeah, so the ones I'm going to want initially are going to be nether seeds, I think. And nether seeds are useful because I think they're going to let us basically craft, I want to say nether quartz. Oh, no nether quartz? That's a shame. Yeah, I don't need them as much now. Fine. So what I'm going to do is actually craft sulfur, because the rest is actually provided by sieving. So I'm going to go and craft that up, and that's not too hard to make. I've got 14 Prudentium already, and we can get a little bit more. 16, which might even be enough for us to do this. So sulfur seeds, there we go. And we just need to craft the initial bits and pieces. Do I have any of the base crafting seeds? I do not. Okay, and presumably I have some of that. Yep. So base crafting seeds and tier 1 crafting seeds, and then tier 2 crafting seeds, and then everything we need, I think. Yep, sulfur. That can go into our garden area. I think I need to maybe replace the soil. The soil might still be, it is still podzol. Ugh, that's not going to do the job. So I'll replace that out, and we'll get it going and put it in the analyzer, and usual stuff. You don't need to see this. Note that to move up through the tiers, you're going to need to craft the next infusion crystal up to get into medium, which is what I just did. And just as before, we now then need next set of steel up the second degree, and second degree is got by getting gelid cryotheum, and this doesn't get any better as you go up. If you go up to get to the third degree, you have to go to Zephyrian erothium, and the fourth one up is going to be tectonic petrothium. However, for each of these, they're all going to need those powders that you got, or you should be getting if following along, from our Auto-sieve. This one happens to have pulverized obsidian as well, so we can generate that easily enough. So yes, you do definitely want those powders, and perhaps not in rod form, except whenever you need the dislocators. So we just basically are going to need more of this kind of setup, but further along for other things. And then we probably don't want export buses, but maybe we want to think about actually having controllable export buses, so we just had to switch it on or dump some stuff in to get the next tier up and get to that kind of thing. The alternative is you just change this export bus, you change what's in here, and then that will do for that, basically. For example, right now, it's out of pyrothium. So we could replace that recipe with the gelid version and get rid of this, get rid of you, and then do a limited run on getting to the inferium. Inferium will also have nice seed recipes, not inferium, intermedium. Yes, intermedium, there we go. So this will also have recipes that we're going to want. You'll get a 4-to-1 drop every time you actually go up one level. So we've got like 30 odd prudentium at the moment. So obviously divide by 4. Like 8 of this stuff, so we're going to be able to get enough for a couple of seeds of anything that we can get at this tier. Is there anything that we want? So let's take a look at that. The runic altar version. That's some. There's my nether quartz seed. Fine. I need some elven quartz. That's going to need further Britannia stuff to get the elven portal up, so I can't really get those yet. But let's take a look. Yeah, so it looks like from every point upwards from here, it requires us to get into basically Britannia runic altar crafting, because the same ingredients pop in, these intermediate essence and the tier 3 crafting seed, but also the other stuff around the runic altar, and you get glowstone seeds and redstone seeds, which means you no longer need to sift for them once you get to this stage. Now, one thing I did want to check, I did set up upstairs the sort of crafting for this. Not crafting, but the growing area. So let's just see how far along it's got. It's got for a fairly far amount. But here is a typical kind of growing area for late game. If you have 6 of these, you might think it's terribly slow. Well, first of all, we can also get a lily pad of fertility just to add anything on top. Lily pad, or well, we could if we had any of them in the system, but I can go and grab one. But that's only a very small increase to the growing speed. What we really want is a block of imaginary time or something similar. A block of imaginary time. Block of, well, let's just look for time. Maybe not. Maybe imaginary. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Imaginary time block. Okay, fine. So maybe I got the name wrong. And that's a large recipe. It doesn't look too unreachable, though. Yeah, the cubic clusters, maybe they are. No, they're all the same kind of things. So we need to look into getting the Britannia done, of course. But it's all a lot of it is actually stuff that we've already got. All the transistors, the capacitors. The growth crystals around the outside is various stuff that we already have, or at least that we can get from mob spawns or something like that, and hardened Indian glass. So that leads us to get into the extended crafting mod with the various tables, and they of course need the various tiers of stuff from this in the first place. So yes, we could get the black iron ingot made, and this comes through ender crafting, but we're going to need a metal press sooner or later, so I may as well craft one of those, and then maybe start thinking about crafting an ender crafter and many ender alternators that will actually produce black iron ingots for us. And we need to get other bits and pieces as well, blank runes from blood magic, etc. But yeah, plenty of infrastructure there that we need to build. So metal press first it is. So usual thing for metal presses then, something like a little bit of room around here would do. So let's just put one there and there. The redstone I think goes down, and then it's the piston facing down. I'll correct that in a minute. And then the heavy engineering blocks on top, I think. Where's my book? Just double check. Yes, that goes on top. And then we just want two conveyors running whichever way we want. This way is the way I want, so it's fine. There we go. And same thing this way. There we go. And then I just need my engineer's hammer, and that'll all get everything sorted, I think. Will you work now? I've got you connected. There we go. So there's our metal press. So how did you use metal press? Pretty straightforward. You need a mold to make plates, and then you need some way of importing stuff onto here. So one thing I will probably want to do here is just go through this layer, and then we can just get a few things. So first of all, I want an ender chest or two. No, just one should do it. That'll do. This can go on this side. This is where it basically inputs back into our system. Then a regular chest, I think, should do it as well. Yep, just one of you. And an interface. Do I have enough stuff to craft the interface, though? I'm running short. Oh, no, it'll do one. That's perfectly fine. Love this wireless interface. And, although what will be essentially, not wireless interface, wireless crafting grid. There we go. So, oak chest. If I remember rightly, this pulls automatically from chests. I'm not sure if it pulls from interfaces, so that's why I've just put a chest there, and it's sort of nicely balanced on that side as well. Need to hook that back up to our system and then just create a sort of metal press recipe. But we also need the mode. I was going back to the terminal. We need the mold, the American spelling of mold, and that is a plate mold, and that is something I don't have yet. I need an engineer's workbench. Do I have any of that? Bits and pieces, just any kind of wood, please. Planks. Hate it right, sometimes it doesn't actually substitute when it can actually substitute. Engineers, there we go, engineer's workbench. And then, oh, it's a treated wood fence. Nearly. It's a couple of treated wood sticks, and everything else should fall into place, I think. Yes, there we go. One engineer's workbench. And you can put this anywhere. It doesn't need power or anything, so I'll just dump it over here for the moment. There we go. So we're probably going to want that steel plates, was it? So mold. Let's take a look at that. We wanted 5 steel plates, engineer's wire cutters, and the metal press molds blueprint, which we should be able to just craft. Mold. Can we craft you? So let's grab you and you. Yes, we can. So we'll just dump you in here, and then, yes, we've basically been told what we need on this side. Quite like that. So I'm going to go make those, get the mold fitted, and you just right-click it onto that plate right there, and then hook everything back to the system, and I'll see you in a minute. Normally, if you use interfaces, they normally got a blank name unless they're connected to a machine directly. In this case, it really isn't. But you should be able to just rename them just in a regular anvil, so that shouldn't be a problem. In this case, it's going to be metal press... plate metal press, shall we say. Plate metal press. Enchantment cost 1, that's perfectly fine. We can go and dump that back over here, and everything should now hopefully work. Let's give it a try. Dump in the recipe that says with 1 steel ingot we can make 1 steel plate, and then if I order steel plates in the system, steel plates, will you actually work? Let's just order 1. Okay, and are you going to work? Well, you've put the chest in there. That's not auto pulling. I was kind of hoping that would work. Okay, fine. Well, let's just see. Can we actually just pull using our regular translocators? If that's not the case, where's my translocators gone? Should be in here somewhere. Translocators? There they are. Blind, honestly. And can we actually put them onto here? Doesn't look like we can, so I may need to do a bit of manipulation. Yeah, fine, works fine without the chest, so that's not really much of a problem. So we shouldn't need the chest, and that makes it simpler, I guess, although this sort of annoys me. I need to make the sort of covers for these kind of things, but I've not actually got around to it yet. And it inserts into chests just fine. It just doesn't pull from them. You can get like the conveyor belt. If you want something in theme, you can get the conveyor belt, the extracting version like this, and it'll pull them out of a chest and onto the actual belt. But yeah, this'll do for now. So all I need to do then is for recipes, just go over to our system. I did break the interface. I'm just wondering if I'll actually break its name. Let's just take a look. Nope, metal press. Oh, it has broken its name, but I have got a new name again, metal press, so I know where to put these things now. And that means everything like copper plate and stuff like that. Copper plate. I can just basically use a processing recipe like this, and that actually, well, that bit isn't needed actually, because it's going to be permanently used for plate, so I don't need to worry about feeding stuff in. And I can put that away. So now I can just go in here and ask for some copper plate. Whoops. Yeah, I took the actual terminal off, so I wasn't tempted to actually use it. Let's make a couple of 100 copper plate for me, please. That's cool. And that's another thing automated into the system. It's feeding them in there, and you can see them becoming available in the system. Good. So we're eventually going to put down another metal press here for the wire and stuff like that, but everything's good, and this thing is working away. It's now unbreakable, by the way. I think I've probably even got some more modifiers. Yeah, I've got another modifier. I could put speed on it if it actually seemed to have any speed, but it doesn't seem to have a problem with breaking that immediately, so I'll leave it as is, and if there's any way to speed that thing up, let me know in the comments. So that's that done. We've got the metal press next up. So last thing for today, just to complete this little growing area, we're going to want to basically craft a gatherer from Industrial Foregoing. There are other mods. I think there's like a farming station and stuff like that. Gatherer, I think, was the ones I used previously, and I put it the wrong way around. Yep, shows me how good I am with them. By default, these things are 1 by 1, if I remember rightly. So let's just get a few things. One is a spectre coil to give some power. Yep, and it is 1 by 1 by default. So we do want to get the range add-on. Whoops, let's go and get that from our system. Range add-on, and you want range add-on just +1, because that will make it 3 by 3. So there we go, and that should do the job. And you can see there it's doing that, and we've got a little bit of fertility there. However, I don't want to feed this directly into our system, the sludge, but we don't actually need. We're actually just going to try and put it through an analog crafter first of all. Let me just put a block down. Do I have any kind of blocks? No, seems like I should have some on me. Let's just use that for now. I'm just going to feed it into an analog crafter using our typical translocators, and the analog crafter, we can set a recipe of that. That will start actually transferring, and we want to make sure it's sticky, and spread items is perfectly fine, and always on. So yep, let's just dump those in there. Yep, it's not particularly fast, but I can sort something else out later. Maybe it needs to be faster, to be honest, to keep up with even just these few lily pads of fertility. We'll see. Anyway, and then we can feed that up into another ender chest as per normal. So ender chest it is, ender chest, just one of you, and then a couple of blocks and bits and pieces. So there we go, and ender chest. Fine, we can get the blocks out of the way, and then we can put our normal translocators in and get everything going. So let me just get that done from here to here, and put you away. That's done. And then from here to on top as well. There we go. Okay, so that's working away, and obviously we do want something faster than that. There are crafters in this pack, so don't be worried. Just think lily pads of fertility make grass grow so quickly. And there we go. Yeah, lots and lots of stuff coming out of it. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, there are other crafters in the pack which are much, much faster. Ender Crafter I'm not too concerned about. I'm more thinking about these crafter tier 1s from RF Tools. And can we actually craft them at Electrum? Yes. Refined Obsidian, that needs more mechanism, but in theory, yes. Hard Carbon we've made before. Steel Casing, more transistors. Anyway, but yes, we can. So technically we can make a machine frame from RF Tools, and that will let us make the crafter tier 1. And then you upgrade that with tier 2. It's very cheap to upgrade to tier 3. And these things really, really craft very, very fast indeed. So direct replacement for this is perfectly fine. In normal mod packs, you would use that to use the Imperium upgrade to Prudentium to Intermedium. But in this one, nah. you need a few steps potentially. So we may use them, but it's not just directly upgrading each time like in a normal mod pack. So it needs some expert mode help on that whole process. So we've got sulfur going. That's one of the first ingredients I wanted, in addition to the stuff we're going to get from sieving. And yeah, we're getting slowly some stuff of the, well, steel of the first degree. First 82 plus the 30 odd prudentium. So this will go up as soon as I re-enable the pyrotheum, which I've shut off for the moment, because I need to go and work out the maths for how much of this stuff I actually need and how much I need for each of the successive magma crucibles, fluid transposers, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'll show you those in the next episode or so, and hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, you can give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe. Click on the bell if you want notifications for more episodes, and we'll see you next time for some more Project Ozone 3 KAPPA mode. I'm very, very happy with that. Thanks very much for the commenter. All right, as always, guys, thanks for watching.